Hi, I'm Leah Leaves, and I help people with ADHD who know they've got what it takes but just can't quite get there because their mind appears to be working against them a lot of the time. So I help you to get your mind working with you so that you can do whatever it is that you want to do. And over the 12 days of Christmas, I've been doing the 12 myths of ADHD. So each day I've been covering a commonly believed myth about ADHD and busting that myth. And today's no exception. Today is myth number 9, which is that all people with ADHD are the same. And of course, actually, logically, most people presumably don't believe that. We know that everybody's different, and just because you say have ADHD or autism or you're dyslexic or you're colourblind or you're deaf or you're blind, it doesn't mean that you're the same as everybody else who has that same condition. So we know that instinctively personality types are different, and that other things will influence it too, like upbringing, personality, and any things that you have that are going along with it. So for me, I'm also autistic, so sometimes actually that can be really opposing. So the first thing that I wanted to do was talk to you about the common symptoms of ADHD and how ADHD is split into different categories. Now, I have covered this in other videos, but I wanted to make sure that people understood this bit, because actually fundamentally this is one of the major differences between people with ADHD, is which type of ADHD they have. And then I wanted to just give you a quick overview of 3 different clients that I've worked with this year and the different ways that the ADHD has come out in them. And by that I mean how they have told me that the ADHD has most been influencing them, whether that's in a positive or negative way. And of course, that means that this isn't the only way that ADHD has had an influence. But I think you'll find it interesting to see how that influence appears in those people. So the 3 main types of ADHD are inattentive ADHD, hyperactive/impulsive ADHD. So that's one thing, hyperactive-impulsive ADHD. And then we have combined, which is a combination of the other 2 types. So in the main, anybody that has ADHD will have problems in the executive function of the brain. The executive function of the brain is the bit that kind of helps the brain to make sure it's coordinated and all working together to take the person in a helpful direction. So that part of the brain, the executive function, it's several parts actually of the brain, but the executive function of the brain helps to kind of helps the brain to navigate successfully in a particular direction. So it controls impulse, it kind of contains things, it eliminates distractions that are unhelpful and keeps the focus on what's important at that point, and it helps the kind of the thought process or the impulse process sort of follow through in the right way, so to continue through. So somebody who has ADHD will tend to have problems in some of those areas because the executive function isn't guiding the brain properly. So in the inattentive type of ADHD, the predominant symptoms are those that are with attention and focus. And when we're saying predominant, we probably mean, I think, we mean the ones that are the most overt, that are the most obvious. It doesn't mean that we only have those symptoms if we're in that category. So I'm inattentive ADHD. Now, this used to be called ADD. If you don't know already, ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, and ADD stands for Attention Deficit Disorder. Now, ADD's kind of been gotten rid of. It's a sort of outdated name, and the new name is ADHD inattentive, and that's because although the hyperactivity isn't overt, isn't obvious, it's actually still happening. It tends to be just more internal. than external for others to see. So ADD is now ADHD inattentive type, and as it says on the tin, it's mostly about kind of internal stuff. It's mostly about kind of following thoughts. It's about forgetfulness. It's about organising and planning, prioritising, that side of things. Although the hyperactivity may still be there at times. Me, I get more hyperactive when I'm nervous, when I'm anxious about something. So I tend to be a bit more hyperactive and moving about when I'm speaking to somebody I don't know very well, for instance, or when I'm doing these videos. Hyperactive-impulsive ADHD, again, does exactly what it says on the tin. So this is the hyperactivity side is more overt, more predominant in that person. So this tends to be the risk takers, the sort of people that move a lot, that talk really fast, that bounce around, that struggle not to interrupt, that tend to always be on the move, always want to be kind of outside doing interesting things. And again, they may still have some of the organisation, prioritising symptoms of the inattentive type, but those aren't so obvious. Then you also have the combined type, which again is exactly as it says on the tin. So it's a combination of the other two. So in other words, there's no particular predominance either way. Actually, overt symptoms of both the hyperactivity and the inattentiveness. So I hope that helps. I probably haven't given you all the information that would be helpful, but can't think of anything else right now. I suffer with forgetfulness, particularly as I've got older. I think I used to be much better at chaining it together when my brain was younger and healthier. And interestingly, most women, as they go into sort of perimenopause, as their hormonal kind of systems are changing, that tends to cause huge problems with ADHD that used to be masked. So a lot of women are diagnosed around in their 40s and 50s because everything kind of falls apart a bit, and I can verify that that's absolutely true. Anyhow, so I wanted to talk about these three clients. I'm not going to talk about which form of ADHD they have, because what I want to do is just explain to you how ADHD affects them in their day-to-day life, so you can kind of feel those differences. So the first client is a woman. She's in her 50s. She's only recently learned that she has ADHD. And actually for her, exactly as I've just said, the menopause has actually thrown her loads. A lot of the strategies that she used to use to manage the symptoms of what she now knows as ADHD are falling apart, are not working so well anymore because her symptoms have worsened that much. So mainly for her, she has the more kind of internal stuff going on. She struggles to prioritise and manage the overwhelm that she feels. She gets overwhelmed by all the things that are going on around her. So she can't sit down and relax and watch television of an evening like she used to now, because the things that she used to be able to tune out a little bit better, the sights, the sounds, the thoughts that are popping up in her mind, the sensation of the the things she's sitting on, the ticking of the clock over there, the thing that her husband's doing as he's chewing a biscuit and flipping the pages of his book. She can't chain any of those things out. She can't forget about the things that are worrying her, and so she can't relax. And the worrying is a really big thing for her. She, her thoughts are always on the go. They're always kind of running down all sorts of pathways. And in the past, when things were a bit easier for her, they tended to be fairly equally split, and she was able to navigate them a little bit more towards where she wanted them to be. But now that's much harder, and actually a lot of her thoughts are negative about, what's going on for her and what's happening with her family members, etc. That makes her really anxious. And it makes it really hard for her to switch off at night. So she tends to sleep really badly too. The second client is male. He's in his 30s. He doesn't have children. He is in a partnership, and he has quite a responsible job. But for him, actually, a lot of his... Sorry, my legs are really hurting. I'm just fiddling about and knocking the camera everywhere as I do it. So he has this kind of crazy, excitable busy, really creative, imaginative brain that jumps about everywhere, links these fantastic ideas together, and that's a real benefit to him. But the trouble is, he gets the negative side of it too. He is always finding that he upsets people because when when somebody says something, it reminds him of a song perhaps, and in the middle of them trying to talk about whatever it is that they're talking about, he can't stop himself jumping out with this kind of song line or this idea or just saying a word. It's almost like Tourette's actually, although he doesn't have Tourette's, it is the ADHD impulsivity causing this. He is a real risk taker. He, loves kind of doing things like jumping out of planes and doing really new, interesting things. But he struggles with stuff that's boring. So when he's at work and he's got to listen to something that he doesn't find very interesting at all, but it's really important for him to understand, actually he struggles to keep his focus on that. And his mind is going off into ideas and things that are much more interesting to him. So his major thing is keeping his mind on track, keeping his focus, and, socially doing what it is that he ought to be doing in order to get on in his job and his family, and sort of social life even. The last person is, she's about my age actually. She's in her mid-40s. She's a mum with a couple of children of school age, but they're still quite young. Life is very busy, but she takes on so much, and that's because she's so kind and understanding and empathetic of the people around, and she just wants to make everybody else's life easier. But she's time blind, so she doesn't anticipate how long things are going to take. She struggles with her organisation and planning, so she's not planning the process of the things that she needs to do. She just kind of goes, yeah, I'll do that, and it's only when she gets into it she thinks about that. She struggles with her emotions, so she struggles to keep her emotions in check, and suffers actually with a very similar overwhelm to the lady that I first mentioned. And that overwhelm means that she finds it difficult to stay calm with her kids. She loves her kids. She really is desperate to be, a fantastic mum. And she is a fantastic mum, but she worries a lot about the fact that she isn't always nice and calm with them. She does kind of get really upset and snap at them at times that she doesn't want to. It's, some of it's just normal stuff. Some of it's a bit more than she wants. And so that is a real struggle for her. But the other thing is that when she gets to bed at night and she's, everybody else has gone off to sleep, she is still kind of bouncing around. Her mind's still kind of trying to finish off all the tasks of the day, and the only way she can settle it down to go to sleep is to do certain things. She has certain calming things that she likes to do, some helpful, some that end up not being so helpful. So she'll want to watch certain television programs that she has on demand and she can watch anytime, listening to certain audiobooks, certain music, but also shopping. And this, I recognise this, I have this issue. Her busy, bouncy mind will not always settle into those things, and she really enjoys buying things, especially for other people. So Christmas is a nightmare for her, and she'll find herself, well, I'll just quickly pop onto Amazon and check XYZ, and before she know it, she's spent an hour and a half, at 1 o'clock in the morning, examining the finer points of the pen that she wants to buy her daughter. So just notice the time blindness. So I hope that's helpful to you to explain, how very different these very same symptoms of ADHD, how very differently they can manifest in somebody's life. And it's not to say that, as I said, these things are the only things those people are experiencing, but they're the ones that are causing the most issues because of the way they manifest in them and their particular life circumstances and preferences and personality. So I'm not going to talk very much at the end, like I normally do, about assessment consultations and how to come to see me. But if you do want to work with me and get your brain working with you instead of against you, then the best way to start with that is an assessment consultation, which you can book on my website, or at the moment I'm running a giveaway on Instagram where you can win it for free. So please do head over to Instagram before the 5th of January and just like and share the post there for the competition, and you can win a free session with me, hopefully, if you're the lucky one. So thank you ever so much for listening. I'm sorry it's been a bit longer than normal. I'm not sure why, but I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for myth number 10. Take care. Bye-bye.